What is up, fellow Pyro Fanatics? It's Pimp Daddy 28 here. And today I'm going to kind of show you guys a little bit of a stroll down memory lane a little bit. So, while I was at the American Fireworks demo, met up with another fellow old school Pyro. His channel goes by the name of Pyro USA. Now, he doesn't really post too many videos, but trust me, he is an avid Pyro. And a collector of lots of Pyro memorabilia in terms of documents and whatnot, and a bunch of other stuff. And so he was nice enough to give me a few of these old school Pyro catalogs and documents from several various stores. Now, I was looking for one specific catalog from one specific store that I will get to pretty much as the last item. So just bear with me as I kind of go through this video. But first, I just want to go through some of the other stuff that he gave me first. So over here, we got this order sheet from the old Grossi Brothers Fireworks Company. Now, I believe this company's not around anymore. It used to operate out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And it's a very, very, I think this one's from the 80s, I believe, from what I know. So it's a very, 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 very interesting document, and to kind of look into the past, basically, and how they used to do order sheets and whatnot. And this was for display fireworks, from what I know, not for like 1.4 consumer fireworks. It's strictly for display. And over here, we got a catalog for Al Grossi's Fireworks, which is pretty much Grossi's Brothers Fireworks. Also out of Pittsburgh. This is their old catalogs. I think it's from the 80s, I believe. And they pretty much show you the display shells along with the prices as well. You got a bunch of different shells and whatnot. And you got parachute shells, color star shells. Just a whole bunch of different type of shells and whatnot. Girandolas. Some pretty good prices, I tell you. And I believe these are set pieces. Yeah, so yeah, back 30, 40 years ago, they used to do a lot more set pieces than they did today. I mean, when you look at set pieces, it's very rare that companies kind of do them nowadays, although from what I'm hearing, they're kind of making a comeback now. I know American Fireworks usually does a set piece for their Pyro musical every year, and they did one this year as well, which is kind of funny. Again, pretty much just a display catalog, or catalog for display fireworks, pretty much. Now over here we got a 1987 catalog from Schneider Fireworks. Now this company's still around, I know that, and they sell a bunch of different types of fireworks from Firehawk, Blackjack, Brothers, a lot of the major firework brands out there. So this company's still around. And this is a catalog strictly for display fireworks, though. So this has nothing to do with consumer fireworks. So I'll just kind of scroll through. You got shells, displays. I know it's trying to kind of hold this down here. Kind of show you guys what they have here. You got shells. They show you the cost up top. And this is horse brand shells, so I didn't even know horse brand made shells. All I'm familiar with when it comes to the horse brand is firecrackers and bottle rockets, just the consumer stuff. You got Peking. Yeah. So Schneider Fireworks Company. Over here we got this little not pamphlet, but a little fold out of Vitaly Fireworks, which is nowadays known as Pyrotecnico. Now, it used to be known as Vitale Fireworks up until, I believe, the 90s, some point in the 90s, and then they kind of expanded and they did a whole bunch of different stuff, and it became known as Pyrotecnico, which is what it's known as today. So this is pretty much the old crew from the old Vitale Fireworks. This is how they made the display shells and whatnot. So it's a very unique little pamphlet here. And here is pretty much a card from also Vitale Fireworks, aka Pyrotecnico. And here's a entire catalog from Vitale Fireworks. So they pretty much have a list of the effects here, and it's a lot of effects, so I don't want to go through all of them. I'll just show you guys the photos, and they have them listed up here pretty much based off of each picture. So it's a lot of different effects. And here's the president. Oh, let me fold this back in real quick. Here's the president of Vitale Fireworks from back then. I believe his name was R.J. Vitale. So yeah, this company's been around for a long, long time. So it's been around for at least a century, from what I know. Pretty sure it's been around that long. And you got like different, pretty much statements from various customers and whatnot, or testimonials, so to speak, from various customers. Quite a few from Ohio. I believe this company's based in PA, if I'm not mistaken. So I think they sell mortars as well, I believe. Or they sold mortars as well. So they got 3-inch, 4-inch, 5-inch shells, 6-inch shells, 6-inch, a bunch of different types of display shells. I mean, I believe, I don't know if they show the prices here. No, they do not show the prices here. They just pretty much tell you what they have. So, and they have like a assortment basically of a bunch of different display shells. Here are the set pieces. This is in this part of the catalog over here. So it's not a bad looking set piece. So here's the various set pieces that they had. It's very, very, I mean, I wish they could bring all these back. I know with set pieces, they take a while to make, and it costs a lot, but for the companies that do offer it, you know, and that actually do it, or have them, should I say, in their shows, it's a pretty awesome thing to see, you know. That's one thing I hope a lot of the younger pyros out there get a chance to see, is a lot of these set pieces when they go off. At least one set piece maybe in their lifetime, because it's a very, very cool experience. All right. Here we got the catalog from the old Illinois Fireworks Company. Now, this isn't, I believe this company's not around anymore. This is a catalog from 1991. They operate out of Danville, Illinois. And kind of like, pretty much like the other companies that I mentioned, they strictly did display fireworks, and they did like they had assortments of, you know, display shells and whatnot that they offered. This one cost almost 10 grand, but I mean, you get like a whole bunch of different shells and whatnot. So you get 36, 18, 52, 42. So that's like, God, probably around between 100 to 200 display shells, and they're all 3-inch, range from 3-inch, 4-inch, 5-inch, and 6-inch shells. So it may actually come out to being a pretty good deal, at least for that price. You know, and that's if you're doing like a big display. Obviously, this is all 1.3. And they got the Yankee Doodle program. What was the other one called? Spirits of 1776 program. Second Century Fiesta program. So they get cheaper. I guess that 1776 one was the most expensive one that they had. And also they have set pieces as well. You know, set pieces, like I mentioned, they were a pretty big thing back then. I think up until maybe the 90s is when they really stopped doing the set pieces. They kind of started to fade away. Special Brilliant assortment. So I guess you get a bunch of different set pieces and whatnot. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. Oh yeah, so these are different assortments of set pieces and whatnot. So it's definitely not bad. This is definitely a very, very nice catalog. This one is a folder from Fire Art. Fire Art, obviously, a lot of people are familiar with Fire Art, especially out of PA. And I know a few people at Fire Art, very good friends with them. Very good company. They offer 1.3, 1.4, 1.4 Pro. I mean, you name it, they offer it. So they have this catalog here. This is, I believe, from 1987. So most of these catalogs that I'm showing you is from the 80s, pretty much. They pretty much show you pretty much what they have, and I guess new items that they pretty much. And this is like an order form from Fire Art. from way back in the day. So you pretty much list what you want, and they pretty much order it for you, or they get it for you. Either you order right then and there, I guess, or they get it shipped to you after you place your order and mail it to them. This is the catalog for fire art. You got program 1, pretty much tells you what you get. You got a synopsis. You got 87 multi-effect hemispherical and canister shells ranging in the size of 2 inches to 6 inches plus 1 300-shot aerial fountain. So you got a bunch of different aerial displays. So they got a bunch of different programs and whatnot, similar to the other catalogs. They tell you pretty much like an assortment of display shells and whatnot that you get, I guess, based off of what fits your needs and whatnot for the shows that you're going to do. Alright, so that's the fire art folder. And finally, the one that I was definitely interested in, the one that definitely damn near made me cry when I saw it, Midwest Fireworks out of Deerfield, Ohio. Now, unless you're an Ohio pyro like myself, you're probably not going to be familiar with this company, and I'm pretty sure a lot of the old school pyros are familiar with Midwest Fireworks, and specifically the guy who owned that store. Went by the name of Larry Lomas. The Lomas family owned this store, and they were probably the most, I can't say the most hated. Let's just say Larry, he had a lot of friends, but he made a lot of enemies as well, and part of it was his business style. One thing about Midwest Fireworks, and I'm pretty sure a lot of pyros or a lot of viewers out there get the impression that I always shopped at WF Boom, and that's not true. My first store, the first store that I ever shopped at was Midwest Fireworks, this store out of Deerfield, Ohio. And I shopped there from around the mid to late 90s all the way up till they got closed down somewhere between 2003, 2004. Now, the thing with Larry is he carried quite a bit of overloaded items, and he really didn't give a shit. and even when the kind of the government and the CPSC and the ATF would kind of come down on him and tell him to stop, and this is back before fireworks started to get regulated in the early 2000s. They weren't as really that regulated before then. And so pretty much Larry pretty much did what he wanted, and he put a bunch of overloaded items and whatnot on the shelves. And I remember back then when my budget was kind of small, I was a little kid getting these fireworks. I mean, I'd only purchase fireworks between maybe $50 to $100 at a time. I would get primarily firecrackers and bottle rockets, maybe a couple cakes. And one of the cakes that I remember getting, it was called King Cobra. And the brand that Midwest Fireworks sold out of it was called Buckeye Fireworks. It was kind of like their in-house brand, similar to like with AFW with WF Boom. And a lot of the items underneath that brand were pretty much overloaded. In fact, I wouldn't be shocked if all of them were overloaded, because I remember letting off that cake. It was a 200-gram cake, but it was a very, very good cake. And I just regret not keeping any items from that store because, when you're a little kid, you don't know, the whole thing about how fireworks are regulated. You just see fireworks and you just want to buy them, and you think they're going to be around forever. And that was not the case. Larry kind of made a lot of enemies with the way he did business. At the same time, his store, the way it was shaped, it was like one long aisle. Like it was a very oddly, uniquely shaped store. It was like, I'd have to show you guys a picture of it, if I could find an old photo from like a satellite view of how it looked like. It was like a very, very, very long store. It may have been like, I don't know, 1,000 feet long. That'd be my guess. Maybe longer. I'm trying to kind of exaggerate here a little bit to kind of bring home a point of how oddly looking that store was. It was pretty much one long aisle and items on opposite shelves on either side, and there was a bunch of items in the middle, pretty much like assortments and whatnot, pretty much were like at the center of the floor all along the entire aisle. And I don't remember going down that entire store ever, because I would always, by the time I finished shopping, I was only like a third of the way through because it was so long. My brother, I remember, one time went down the entire aisle, but he couldn't remember. He can't even remember what he saw. It may have been cakes and whatnot. And I don't remember if he had shells or not, but I'm pretty sure he did. I know he had those big jumbo skyrockets. And from what I remember, rumors from what I remember is that he always attached H1000s to the heads, inside the heads of those skyrockets, which is why they really went bang. If I had known that and how loud they were, I probably would have got one, but they were kind of pricey, so I think they were like, he sold like 3 of them for like $12, which, come to think of it now, is not that pricey by today's standards. But back then, when your budget is only like $40-$50 and it went up to $100 in later years, you don't really think about getting that item specifically. So I would get flyers for this store, you know, every year, and it would be a bunch of coupons in it. And I regret not keeping those flyers, but you know, it is what it is. And I remember he got shut down pretty much off of a zoning issue because his store was, you know, like as I mentioned, it was very long. It went into, I guess, the other person's property, or the part of it was on another person's property, and they fought it for so many years. And I think that's how they pretty much closed down his store. And when I say closed down, I don't mean they just went and shut him down. They literally, in the middle of the night, went and bulldozed his store because he fought it to the bitter end, but they pretty much did it. They pretty much demolished the store while he wasn't even looking. And at the time, there weren't any fireworks or anything in the store or anything like that because they had to pretty much close down business a little bit while they were fighting a legal battle with the zoning issue and whatnot. And they ultimately ended up bulldozing the store in the middle of the night without them knowing about it. So from what I know, that kind of broke his heart, and that probably ultimately led him to dying a few years later because he was just never the same guy after that. But Larry, he was a character. You know, when he walked into the room, you kind of knew who he was. That's how big of a character he was. And he was the type of guy that, you know, when he'd go to his court hearings, he'd probably, from what I remember, people would say he'd flirt with one of the female court officials or something like that. He was like kind of like that type of guy. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, as I mentioned before, you got this catalog here. I think this is pretty much also, well, this is 1.4. Yeah, this is 1.4. You got Thunderbomb, Bulldog, Cherry Bomb, Black Cat, and this is all from the 80s, I believe. So very good prices, and this is by the case here and what you get in the case. So this is pretty much like a wholesale list. So this is strictly wholesale, not retail. See, I didn't even know Midwest offered wholesale. I probably would have done wholesale if I knew about it. But so they had a bunch of various different items: rockets, firecrackers, Roman candles. Some very, very good prices. Obviously, this is like 30 years ago, so pricing is definitely going to be much better. You got wheels, missile rockets, buzz bombs, helicopters, floral shells. We got parachutes, novelty fireworks. So a lot of this stuff I'm just finding out right now. You got miscellaneous. You got festival balls. Wow. Festival balls. I bet those were actually good back then. What we got here? Inserts. Number 5 tubes. So single shot tubes. That's actually a pretty good price. Number 5 single shot tubes for $24. That's pretty good. 100 tubes. 200 tubes. Assortments. I believe they had something similar to a New York assortment back then as well. You got bag assortments, rack assortments, and then they even got Class B. So they did sell some display Class B stuff. So basically 1.3. It wasn't a huge part of their inventory because I don't remember them selling 1.3 when I used to shop there in the late 90s. Maybe they stopped by then because by then even the 1.4 was overloaded. So I guess there was no point to selling 1.3 when you could sell 1.4 that is actually 1.3. I don't remember there being salutes or anything in those items that he had. I could be wrong on that because I didn't try that many. I only tried those few cakes that I mentioned, and one of them was called King Cobra. I can't remember how many shots it was, but it was definitely like it would be a 500-gram cake with quite a bit of flash in it by today's standards. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Got an order sheet here, or this is a liability insurance sheet here. So pretty much you sign it. All right, so in this box, Pyro USA was nice enough to give me some other cool items here. Got a little bit of a pamphlet here. Pretty much talks about fireworks danger. I guess this is pretty much the old pamphlet from the lobbyists from back in the day who were against fireworks. and they pretty much try to convince people that, oh, fireworks are dangerous and it's very, very bad, and even sparklers can hurt you. They could kill you. It's pretty funny to see how these how far these people went to try to make these fireworks seem worse than what they are. Now, I will admit, I'll give them some credit on this. Back then, because it wasn't as regulated, there was definitely more pause for concern, and they probably had a point in discussing safety. But now, it's so regulated now that legalizing fireworks actually makes it even more safe than it does if a state doesn't have it legal. So, but it is what it is. So it's nice to see that they were even cracking jokes even back then. But got a nice pack of firecrackers, Camel brand, that he threw in. So it was very, very nice of him. Definitely gonna save this pack. Very cool collectible. And we also got he also gave me these Cracker Jacks. These are adult snaps, pretty much. It's just snaps. So yeah, here's what they look like pretty much. So it's just adult snaps, but very loud though. So I might light a couple off and then just save the rest. But this looks very, very nice. He also was nice enough to throw this in. This is pretty much like a little cartridge for an M80. And this is what they used to. I remember there was a store that Dave went to, or a fireworks store, where they used to make these, like, there was a machine that made M80s, and they used to pretty much give these, or I don't know if sell them or just give them to the army during like wars and whatnot. And pretty much they obviously shut those down, in the 60s when they outlawed the sale of M80s and whatnot. I guess they used to sell them to customers and whatnot, but this is definitely a nice piece of history to have. So, also got some MGJ initiators. I was thinking of buying a bunch of these to try these to see if they're better than the E-Match. So I might end up just getting a box of these instead of the E-Match. Because with the E-Match, I sometimes get a little bit more of a fail rate than I'd like. So he threw these in just so I could try them out. So definitely, again, huge shout out to Pyro USA for giving me these items, especially that Midwest Fireworks catalog, the old Midwest Fireworks catalog, because it definitely brought back a lot of memories. Was looking for something from that store that I could kind of hold on to, even if it was just the catalog or the coupon books that they used to have from back in the 90s and whatnot. But this definitely is a nice, huge piece of history. So wanted to thank you guys for pretty much making it through this video with me. I know it's kind of running a little bit longer than usual. But I definitely wanted to make a video on a lot of these documents and these catalogs, because I felt it was worth it. Because not only is this a big part of pyro history, but it's a big part of my history and pretty much where I shopped at. Because before I shopped at WF Boom, this was pretty much the place that I shopped at, and it was my home store for about 5 or 6 years or so before it ultimately shut down. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time.